Hi, I'm Douglas Mason, President and CEO of Magnum Gold Corp, MGI and the TSX Venture Exchange. A 2015 drill program on the LH property intersected several high-grade gold intersections, including 11 meters of 20.66 grams per ton gold. Additional drill targets on the LH property have been identified by a 2018 drone airborne magnetic survey to further evaluate a pyrrhotite-enriched gold-bearing system. Please visit our website at magnumgoldcorp.com.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is market historian Bob Hoye. He's the chief investment strategist for chartsandmarkets.com. Welcome back to the show, Bob.
Yeah, hi, Jim. Here we are. It is Friday.
California house prices are falling, and Americans are now using their homes like ATMs, using their equity to pay bills. Is this shades of 2006?
It sure reminds of that, Jim, because I grabbed the headline there that this was just the 19th in a Bloomberg. The headline was cash-strapped Americans are leveraging their homes to pay the bills. And then there's another headline comes out about California's housing market falters for the fourth straight month. And then they've got here one on this one's also on the 20th. Home sellers slash prices, especially in California. So that's where they, in 2006, they consider the equity in their house as a cash machine and pulled it all out. And then I read one a few days ago. I didn't make a note on it, but it was that there were millions of homeowners who are still offside, where the price of their house is less than the mortgage they're carrying on it. So you get another downtick in serious decline in house prices. You're going to have that problem all over again, although it may not be as drastic because that was an extraordinary speculation in house prices. So it's something to be very wary of beyond just your own home and mortgage, but as how it fits and what it might do to the financial markets. So we will be watching it.
Rising interest rates in the U.S. won't help that situation, will it?
Oh, no, this is part of the problem. That note here was that the mortgage rate is the highest in a decade, which takes us almost back to that time. You know, when you write these things, you can sort of say the highest since the last crisis. And that then makes it tough to carry, you know, and some of these mortgages are variable, so the cost of carrying it goes up, and then you've been increasing the size of the mortgage, and the price is no longer going up, and in some cases they say beginning to decline. So not at all pleasant to read about at all, and it isn't, the threat extends beyond those individuals who may be getting offside on their position, so it'll reflect in credit markets, inabilities to pay. And if you're underwater on a house, and I don't mean it in a flooding sense, some people would just walk away, leaving the house and the mortgage and everything else. So that, of course, is a bad outcome, and that's what happened back in 2006. Senior people at the Federal Reserve System say, we don't see any problems or any threats. So, and then it became a very serious problem. So, when you're in a speculative world, the normal measures of judgment really don't work. You have to kind of look around the corner a bit. And the other thing that's been spectacular in the last few weeks has been these marijuana stocks.
And Bob will talk about those when we come back right after this.
Yep.
MGX Minerals is revolutionizing the new energy economy with patented lithium extraction technology, replacing traditional solar evaporation using low-cost, low-energy nanofiltration. The first system of this paradigm shift technology is currently being commissioned. MGX Minerals trades on the CSE, symbol XMG, the OTCQB, symbol MGXMF, and Frankfurt, symbol 1MG. For more information, visit our website, mgxminerals.com.
I'm Kelly Jennings, CEO of Powerband Solutions. Powerband is a cloud-based provider of auction, inventory, and finance solutions that make buying, selling, and financing vehicles more efficient. Powerband Solutions trades on the TSX Venture Exchange symbol PBX and on the OTCQB symbol PWWPF and on Frankfurt symbol 1ZV. For more information, please visit us at powerbandsolutions.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Bob Hoye. A lot of attention has been paid to Tilray, which is based on Vancouver Island. Its shares dramatically increasing and then decreasing just hours later. Is that what we can expect in the marijuana market as we close in on legalization October 17th?
Yeah, well, the sector is led by Canopy. Stock symbol is wonderful, WEED. Has been strong in each of the rallies. It's been speculative too, Jim, where each of the rallies became overbought and checked back to a base and then whoop up to higher levels. But this one with the Tilray has been very impressive because right at the end of July, they went public at $20. The stock started to trade and ticked down to 17, so it wasn't look like a good new issue, and then jumped to 24. Hey, I'm not using my memory on this, Jim. I'm looking at the chart. And then down to 21.5 at the 1st of August. Then $80 at the 1st of September. And a few days ago, it was up to 160. And the next day, I jumped to 300 intraday, and then also swung down to less than 160. So that's what traders call a very big bar. When you look at the high, low, and last, and the range is from 300 down to less than 160, then the next day was pretty good bar as well, 240 to 160. Now it's at 131. How can this kind of momentum be retrieved? Well, we don't know right away, but also on this one, Jim, the time interval is so short that we can't put our normal technical stuff to it. But at some point, if you look at the main one, weed, one of these big speculative surges could be the last one for the play. How much more magic can they get out of combining different companies? And, of course, the story with this Tilray is that they've got something special going on in medicinal marijuana. Hey, maybe you and I should investigate it a little more closely, Jim. Just test some of this stuff, see what we think of it. I haven't had a giggle on marijuana in decades, so.
Well, October 17th,
we want to have an open mind, don't we?
October 17th, it's legal.
Then, yeah, maybe that's the critical date, when what better news could happen after that? Well, leave it to your imagination, but we're also into a period when great speculations can conclude. We played that one last year with, oh my God, we're getting close to the anniversary, October 4th, when we concluded that everything was going to get bubbled, including even the old Dow Jones Industrials. And they did. And then we had a target of when previous outstanding speculations had concluded, and many of them had concluded in the December-January window. And, of course, for the Bitcoin phenomenon, which was outstanding, that blew out in December, and now you've had a series of new lows. So one can say that that bubble is over, and it's fascinating as that one was making new lows recently. You had this other bubble flying up. Now, in the past, at the end of great bull markets, such as 1929, which completed in early September of 1929, and you had the big high-tech darling then was Radio Corp of America, RCA, which at the time, it was an outstanding company with new technology, with radio, movies, all kind of gramophones, all the hot stuff then. And the stock soared up to, I looked at it a week ago, September the 8th, 114, and then it was all the way down to $2 or $3. So that was in September. Then the previous great bubble concluded again in September, but that was the 1873 bubble. And the big high-tech stock at that time was Western Union Telegraph. And that was big, and it soared hugely into September and then went into a crash. So you can't call a crash until something starts, and I'm always reluctant to do that. But you have, again, wild speculation at a month when previous wild speculations had climaxed. And we also know that on many of the great bubbles over a number of hundreds of years, they have been suffered heavy liquidation in the fall, and all it needs is an end of momentum, and then that puts the latest players who've come in on leverage offside. And then what happens, Jim, and it's ironical, is that most investors think that the central bankers, the Federal Reserve, the Bank of Canada, have infinite power. But when you're at the peak of a great speculative market, the decline in price puts the latest leveraged speculators offside, and then that's where the margin clerks come in, and the accounts are sold out. And at those instances, the power shifts from the central banker to the margin clerk every time. And we want to go back to the origin of the Federal Reserve System in the States, and the backers or the promoters of it boasted that the abilities of the Fed were such that they could prevent the financial setbacks that always precede a recession. So that was the theory. And they opened their doors for business in January 1914, and using the National Bureau of Economic Research, which is the official body that keeps track of business cycles, recessions, and booms, there's been 18 recessions with a central bank that was boasted to have the abilities to prevent recessions. So it doesn't work. And it won't work on the next contraction as well. So, Jim, we live in very fascinating times.
We'll have more with Bob Hoye right after this.
Vatic Ventures Corp. is a potash exploration company focused on the Korat Basin in Thailand, the world's largest undeveloped potash resource. Vatic's management has extensive potash exploration and development experience in Thailand. Vatic will have marketing advantage compared to Western producers. Drill program commences this spring. Vatic trades on the TSX Venture, symbol VCV, and on Frankfurt, symbol V8V2. Visit our website, vaticventures.com.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're chatting with Bob Hoye. Bob, crude is tickling around $70 a barrel. Is that going to last?
Don't think so. There's been two ways of looking at the seasonal swings in crude oil price. And for a long time, crude oil would have a rally sort of from May or June out to late September. And then for maybe 7 or 8 years, that did not work. But you had a sharp rally to 75 a while back, overbought on it, came down. And now it's firming up, and I think that perhaps there is a little of that old seasonal pattern at work here where you can have crude oil firm into late September, but on either of those analyses of seasonal forces, no matter what crude did in the summer or which model you were looking at, there'd always be a very good low in the December-January window. So that crude is firm in here is fine with me. And we'll just watch and see in here. It had very good momentum on the rush to 75. And I don't think you need to have a huge momentum move in here to have it roll over. That was the case in 2014 when it was up through the summer, but that was to 105 or 106, and not a big momentum deal. And that's when we did our study that crude could suffer the same drop in price trading range that previously natural gas had suffered. And natural gas, of course, was in the lead in fracking, and so then the rest came in, and then crude oil crashed down to 26. That was in early part of 2016, and now you've had prices up, and the stocks have rallied well, but I just don't see it. I think there's a risk on the seasonal trade down to December, January. And then also with that, you're going to have the junk bonds prices will sell off with that. So I think the firmness of recent weeks in crude oil have really helped the financial markets, both on the equity side and on the fixed income bond side, because spreads have narrowed. They've narrowed. That's the difference, of course, between high-grade and low-grade bonds, and it's been positive here. We thought that somewhere around August that spreads could take a turn to widening, not happening yet. And then the other part we watch, of course, is the yield curve, and nowadays a lot of people are watching that, and it's no longer flattening as it was. So it's been a big sideways move for weeks and weeks, but it is not yet a negative turn in it. So the two items we look for guidance, which are spreads and the curve, spreads are positive and the curve is neutral but not negative. But we're at the time of year when things can change, and this gets us back to if crude oil goes down. Now, the other thing that's been helpful is that after the big rally in industrial commodities, we were looking for them to rally out to around May, and like lumber went crazy and soared and came down. But they came down so hard into early August that they're now recovering. So there are a few things going on that is making September a rather bright month in the stock markets. But I think that it may not last too long, and our charting friend came up with the value of the stock market relative to GDP, and it is at a record high, way above what it was in 2007. And in the dot-com bubble in 2000, it was way up. But this is now even higher than that. So whichever valuation model you use, and a few weeks ago we were talking about the stock market relative to the average wage, which is an interesting calculation. And it's exceptionally high, at record highs. So valuations are levitated. Momentum has been high from time to time. And we're at a period where the seasonals may go against at least the industrial commodities, because you also have seasonal lows for copper, sort of like November, December, seasonal low for lumber in October. Well, it's already down. So I think there's some risk out there, Jim.
Bob, thank you so much for chatting with us.
There we are.
My guest has been market historian Bob Hoye. He's the chief investment strategist for chartsandmarkets.com. If you have any questions for Bob or any of our other guests, you can send them to info@howstreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard. Thanks for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.